Welcome to this heart-to-heart conversation, a portal into your freedom, your creative power, and your presence. Together, we remember how to create consciously, live in harmony with the earth, and restore the sacred balance of life. Welcome everyone to this heart-to-heart conversation where we're inviting you into a multidimensional exploration of healing and freedom. And today we're talking about how to break free from trauma, release the energies that hold us back, and reclaim the peace and joy that are your divine birthright. I'm Victoria Hart, and this is part of our very special series, Awaken Your Multidimensional Self, the Dawning of a New Light, where we're journeying together to awaken higher consciousness, live with deeper awareness, and remember our true essence. And joining me is Janet Doerr. And Janet's a medical, intuitive, energy healer and soul guide for those ready to heal at the root and embody their full light. Janet brings a wealth of experience and a grounded presence to her work. She supports clients in resolving physical, emotional, and spiritual imbalances by addressing the energetic roots of trauma, disconnection, and soul patterning. And many have shared that anxiety or panic have eased during sessions with her, and that they've felt really deeply supported with compassion and care. And her programs consistently help people reconnect with their divine self in ways that feel both gentle and profound. Janet, it's a real pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Victoria, and to everyone here live today or who will listen to this in the replay. I send you all a big wave of love from my heart. Please allow yourself to receive that and feel that.
Beautiful. Thank you, Janet. So, as I've walked my own healing path, and a lot of it has been transmuting inherited generational trauma and dysfunction on both sides of the family, I've come to realize that trauma isn't something that just touches a few of us. It's woven into the fabric of humanity, carried through lifetimes and then passed down the ancestral lines. And it's held in our very cells, in the cells of our body, in our organic makeup of our being. So I wanted to start, let's begin with the body. How do you see the body as a portal for multidimensional awareness, especially during awakening?
Well, this beautiful body that we're all given, a temple for our soul to walk in and be in this lifetime, is such a blessing. And many of us find being in a body challenging. It comes with all kinds of experiences and sensations. But the important thing to recognize is the body in whatever it gives us in biofeedback, a pain, a sensation. The heart starts pounding. We realize, oh, I'm feeling stressed or worried. Anxiety arises. Our body is always lovingly trying to point us back to the underlying energies that need our loving attention. So it's here to help us, to support us, to guide us. We were blessed to have the Elohim and the Eloah create the form for us, and a body elemental and many little elemental beings who maintain it, who look after it, who do all the things, the functions of the body, so that we as spirit can walk in the body and experience this blessed earth and our life through having all the senses that we have, the ability to see, the ability to smell, the ability to taste, the ability to touch and hug, just as examples, not to mention all of our clairsenses, which, is a whole nother level of perception.
Mm. And so, as a medical intuitive, then, what patterns have you observed between these physical symptoms and then the soul level messages? And then, how might we begin to really listen more deeply to that?
Well, let's give some examples. Energy does have patterns. And so, for example, if we have suppressed grief, from other timelines. It may be ancestral. It may have come down the family line and be coming through our DNA and right into our cells. It also can be grief that we've experienced from our own other lifetimes as a soul, unrelated to the family that we embodied into, incarnated into. And so, where might we store that? The body has kind of a repetitive pattern, which is that if there's unresolved grief, it tends to, not always, but it tends to store a good chunk of that energy in the lungs. Uh, there are patterns of right side, left side. So the right side of the body, the masculine, are masculine. We make decisions, we move forward, we take action, we support others, we send energy out through our body, through the right side of our body. And the feminine is the left side of the body. We receive. And so if we have a series of uh, health issues on the right side of the body, then that might be clues. Is this energy from other lifetimes where we embodied as a male? Is this energy we've pulled in, taken on, or brought in through the fact that our father and his father and that generation of males? Is if we've got an issue with the lower leg, lower right leg, maybe we are not stepping forward. We are not moving forward in the way. And often when um, people step off of a curb, they step out with the right leg to start walking across the street. So that's masculine. Take action, move forward. If there are concerns, issues, health experiences, symptoms, getting our attention on the left side of our body, then may it indicate that there's some experiences we had in a female body in another lifetime where there's stored emotion that needs to be addressed, another experience that has some energies related to it that we haven't yet explored. And it can also be energies that come from our mothers, grandmothers, and the maternal line.
That's so interesting. And so, would it also be that we're struggling with physical issues as a result of how the dynamic maybe is in our family?
Well, indeed, we can take energy in. So in my family, um, my father had a quick temper. And so if he got feeling agitated, irritated, often and usually because there was not enough money, so he would flare up and out comes this burst of anger. My mother was responsible for um, supporting the family, buying the food, cooking, clothing us with the funds that my father made available, which were hardly enough, often never enough. And so this pattern of he would explode and, you know, send anger to her, I would watch my own mother really hurt by that.
Yeah.
And I can tell others in the group have seen this because I can feel you. I can feel the stored emotion that lots of us have from having witnessed a father angry and a mother hurt. I'm just going to breathe through the energy. And for everybody who was just connecting to that, just allow yourself to connect in your heart, being aware of remembering any patterns that and any energies that brings up for you where you saw that pattern, a male angry, and then the female feeling hurt, wounded, unsafe, judged, something maybe different in your different families. Nice deep breath. And so you can see how we can wade into the energy just by speaking about it. just by, any other day, if I wasn't here with all of you, I'm sure I could share the story of my own experience, but I immediately connected into the energy in the group and the energy in the field of things we experience. So what did I observe? My father would get angry. Poof, he was over it. He'd be smiling. 20 minutes later, he was done. It would sort itself out. But my mother would then hold that, take that anger energy and feel bad. And, 24 hours, 2 days sometimes, she would still be wrestling with the energy she'd received. And so sometimes as kids, we would learn, oh, dad's, expressing anger, run for the hills and go into your room, get busy, do something else, heart's pounding, or go outside, clear out, when it's happening. And as a result of observing that pattern, then if I saw a male explosive with some anger else time in my life, like in the workplace, then it might bring up in me these old feelings that I'd observed, some of which I took in from my mother. Gee, mom's not feeling good. Unconsciously, children do this. They'll just pull in some energy from a parent, a mother or a father or a sibling or a spouse, and pull it in to say, well, my life will feel better if I can pull some of their heavy energy into me. Maybe I can process it. Typically, we don't process it. We just end up carrying it around like heavy luggage. And at some point, we become aware, oh, I pulled all this energy in from my ancestors. I pulled it in from mom and dad as a child. I haven't healed it. I need to release it, return it, and do some healing practices that would help me clear my field up, knowing I don't have to carry other people's emotion. They may be over it. They may be on the other side, having already passed over, gone to the temples, been working on releasing any storehouse of emotion they had. But here we can still be wearing it.
Yeah, and I guess as children, we're not conscious of pulling that energy in, right? So,
Right. And the same people will pull in energy from a spouse. I love this person, but the relationship is disharmonious. I would like to pull this energy in, so maybe they'll be more calm and they'll be, a person that is more enjoyable to be in relationship with. Then they divorce, finally deciding this pattern, the other person's not going to change. And later they're working with me, and we discover they've got all these energetic cords and hooks, and still their energy field is connected and corded and tangled with another person. So then we can sort all that out, and they go, "Oh, I didn't even know." It's subconscious. So the person might not even have a sense that they have all of these entanglements.
no, and then trying to move on with your life and you're still attached to the
Right, right.
partner. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so then when we talk about healing, what does healing from trauma really mean to you? And then how does it differ from other types of energy healing on the awakening path?
So all healing is ultimately taking some energy within us, which is dense, which is suppressed, which we haven't been able, for whatever reasons, in other timelines or this lifetime, to be present with, to have the courage to sit with the energy, because a lot of these energies feel very strong.
Oh,
And, if a person has a tremendous amount of grief in their system, they may feel like, or even say, I'm afraid to feel this because I know there's so much there. It'll be like I dive into the well of grief and I'll never get out. So that would be the reason why all that grief got suppressed, because a person didn't have the wherewithal to be able to feel it and be present with it and alchemize it by dissolving it back into love. So all healing is that spotting an energy, allowing it to arise, being present with it. So what is different about trauma?
mm,
So trauma is just deeper, 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 deeper. And it often affects the root chakra where we just feel deeply unsafe. So, for example, one situation, a person's mother passes over and they miss her dearly and they grieve. And that if that were to happen when a person is in their late 30s or 40s, they're married, they have two children already, and her mother, yeah, would be a mother I'm speaking about now, but her mother passes over, well, then the grief energy comes up. And it might be very challenging for a person to be present with that, feel that, cry those tears. And then another layer of sadness will come up. Oh, I had thought that my mother would be around to be the grandparents of my children. And now they're going to miss that. And I had this energy invested in seeing my mother and them having a grandmother active in their lives as they go through. So that would be one scenario. Okay, that would be kind of standard emotional healing that a person might be have the experience to go through. But now take another situation. You're a child of a single parent. You're 7. Your mother dies. And she had separated from your father because the father was volatile or drug using or alcoholism or something. So the father's not an option. And she passes over. Now what happens? The child has grief, but the child also may have a tremendous sense of feeling completely unsafe. Everything in their life is going to change. Where are they going to live? They're going to live now with someone they may not even know very well, an extended family member. They're estranged from others. They may have to move. Now they've lost their friends from, grade 1, grade 2. So all of these things can happen so rapidly that a situation of my mother dies, for one, is a grieving experience, and for another is a trauma.
Yeah.
It's so deep, it puts them into a survival mode where they feel so completely and totally unsafe.
Mm.
And we can have traumas as well. Um, I'll give a funny example. So I was gardening on Sunday, and I had soft gardening gloves out, and I go into my compost bin, and I've got a spading fork, and I start thrusting the spading fork down into the compost and bringing it up and turning the compost so that I can get my greens and my browns, mixing together, add oxygen, and get the compost cooking. So I thrust it down, I pull it up, and I smash this finger, and I'll show you what happened to it. This finger smashes up onto the wood cover of the compost that keeps the rain out. And immediately, even with a light glove on, I'm going, oh, and up out of my consciousness comes the belief, why do things like this keep happening to me? Number one. So that's a belief we'll talk more about in a bit that comes from feeling like life happens to me, not for me. But it surfaced. It's extremely painful. So I'm just sobbing immediately. And then there's bleeding, right? Sudden. So immediately I start going, well, what shall I do? Beloved Archangel Raphael, please stop the bleeding. The angels are fantastic to call upon when we've got an injury and we're bleeding. So it's internal bleeding, yes, but I didn't really want the blood under the fingernail to cause me to lose the fingernail, which is often the case when you smash, a finger like that. And then I said, because I could feel it swelling with the blood inside already had been released, then I said to my body elemental, beloved body elemental, please move the blood from where it is and take it somewhere so that it's not going to create so much pain and swelling. And then I come inside and immediately get arnica, homeopathy, put it under my tongue. Arnica stops bleeding, stops bruising. So I do that. Then I go sit down to absorb, and I've been just sobbing, and I'm going, oh, well, yes, it hurts like heck, but what's going on here really?
And a
So
shock.
as I got quieter, what was happening was I was releasing old trauma energies.
Mm.
And it's what I call an echo. So another timeline I had an experience, something happened, but the energies are still present. The trauma from that is still present. And I die and I haven't addressed it. So I come into this body. I carry an etheric record of a prior trauma. So what happens? I duplicate it. The energy is there. It draws to me a matching experience. I get really, going and exuberant with my spading fork and whack, I've now got a serious pain energy here in my finger. So I'll show you what happened to it. You can see it's
Pretty-
purple,
Yeah,
but
perfect.
very kindly, my body moved the blood so it's not under my nail. So I don't have a black nail, but I have a purple, forefinger. So thank you very much. I'm thanking my body because I've been saying, what would it take for my nails to be beautiful again? Oh, here, my body's kindly helping me and saying, well, yeah, we got this blood to deal with, but we'll at least pull it out of the way to bless you with, not wrecking your nails. So, so in the hours that followed, I became aware of trembling, shaking, feeling, quite traumatized. So I got a blanket, hot tea, sat quietly to be with it, and then I asked, so, what was the first occurrence of this energy? And I'm shown that I had a lifetime where this finger, and it's same finger, was severed through the nail in a farming accident that the farm implement, got me.
That's
And
a mirror. You were out in the garden.
exactly, right? So the circumstances are similar. I'm, out in nature and all of a sudden I've got an injury happening to my finger. So me being present and aware, and I said, oh, yes, of course, this is perfect. This happens on Sunday before our talk. I'm going to talk about healing trauma and I'll have a fresh story. And having just gone through the experience myself of what does it feel like as I had gone into this releasing process of releasing this underlying trauma. And I had access to it clairvoyantly with a snippet of information. It was only just enough to, or claircognizant, clairvoyant sort of combination, that I had just enough of an awareness that there was a severing of my finger. Um, and then, and that's as painful as this, probably times 100.
Yeah.
Uh, so when we have a previous trauma, it's not uncommon to have an experience in this timeline, which I call an echo.
Mm.
So there's an etheric record. It's still in our body. We're still resonating with an imperfection, an injury to our hand. So what do we create and experience? A similar kind of experience. And what is the blessing of that? The blessing is it gave me a chance to be up close and personal, get quiet, feel, and breathe my way through and use the light tools that I work with and be compassionate of myself while I'm releasing and then calming my body down. And my husband later asked me in the day if I'd like to go out in the hot tub. He just cleaned it and recharged it. And I said, no, I need to stay warm. He kind of laughed and he said, well, the hot tub's warm. And I said, yes, but I'm going to have to go out with, swimsuit on. And from here to the hot tub and then out again, I know that I'm going to be cold. And I just know that my body's telling me stay warm. So I stayed with hot tea and being very still and released that energy. And I went, wow, there was a tremendous amount of old trauma energy in my cells that I had the blessing of shaking out. Plus, I have a great story to tell.
Mm. And it also sounds a bit like you were still carrying the shock from when the finger was severed in a former life, because it was another shock in this life.
Yes, yes. And that, again, I'm saying is not uncommon. And in some cases, if there's an error, an experience that creates an experience of imperfection, something less than just divinely beautiful life with no injuries and no traumas. If a person is so traumatized by it that they can't, and they don't have the skills that we're developing now. They don't know how to be with it. And so it's just like out of sight, out of mind. I don't want to think about it again. But then they haven't really allowed themselves to be present as I was to let these energies shake out. We're also blessed right now with so much energy coming in that our releases are more frequent and quicker because these higher frequencies coming in is starting to agitate, illuminate, bring light in and get the frequencies moving faster. So these old energies that are submerged within our presence, in our cellular memory, in our emotional body, in our old belief systems like that, why does things like this keep happening to me? That was an old belief. Not one comes from my Christed self, which would say everything's happening for me. Yeah, it hurts like heck, but everything's happening for me. So what's the blessing here?
Wow. It obviously it came matching your outfit tonight as well.
Violet flame, blaze of violet flame. Yes.
I just want to bring back because you mentioned quite a few key things as you were sharing, and one of the things I'm interested in understanding a bit more is how much trauma be stored in the energy body, and then what are some of the signs that someone is holding this unconsciously?
So our energy body is multi-layered and multi-dimensional. So we have the physical body. It feels hard to us when, dense that we can push on it. But actually, what we're feeling when we press our finger on our other hand is the dense energies that are within the hand pushing back against the other finger. Truly, when you look at it through a microscope at the nanoscale, the hand is space. And there are particles kind of spinning around, but you can literally take, if you believe it, you can literally take your finger and push it through your hand and out the other side. There's that much space. But we experience it because we think it's firm and solid. We experience it as firm and solid. So this is our physical body. Right outside the physical body is our etheric body. And our etheric body stores a record of everything that we have ever experienced as a soul in any body, in any incarnation. So just think about that. And there's different kinds of bodies. If you're in a different star system, you might not have had a humanoid body. Or here, even on the earth, maybe you were a dolphin one time. You were an elemental being, and then you came to be a human. So, but our etheric body is going to store records, memories of everything you've ever experienced. So if my body in my earthly incarnations got, as was the case, a finger severed or an arrow through my chest, which happened in the 1800s when I was a Lakota chief and shaman. Or did I have a baby? I have had two C-sections and one miscarriage. So when I was reflecting on that, I said, what's similar here? 3 times a baby has been cut out of my body. And so when I got curious and reflected upon that, in my etheric record was the information about other lifetimes where babies were cut out of my body as a woman. Some of them were, okay, and some of them were not so okay. So there was a lot of trauma around those. So our etheric body is storing this information. And then outside of that, going out bigger, maybe even as far as like your arms reach out, you've got your emotional body. It's the biggest of our bodies. So that's where we store old emotion that we have not been able to be present with. We didn't have the courage to feel it. Grief or sadness or fear or terror or anger or resentment or bitterness. All of those kinds of emotions are out here in the in the emotional body. And then there's a layer on top of that, or outside of that, to say it differently, the mental body. And there, if we have an opinion, a belief, a conclusion that we've reached with our mental mental minds, and we've stored it as my belief, like what I spoke. Why do things like this keep happening to me? I said, not for me, not what's the blessing, but things are happening to me. I'm the victim. So if a person has a belief out in their mental body, and it's something less than Christ consciousness, something less than divine awareness. So the belief that I felt, come rushing up when my finger got hurt. Why do things keep happening like this, keep happening to me? So that belief comes from a misunderstanding um, of a human, which is that things are happening to us, not for us, and that this isn't a life we've crafted to help us address our old energies, to help us develop soul wisdom. If we think it's coming from outside of us and I'm the victim, then that belief will tend to hold in sadness because then we feel separate, disempowered, not, fully empowered. So all of these different layers make up our energy body.
Mm.
And if there's density in the mental body, it holds in emotion. If there's dense emotion, it presses in through the etheric body and into the physical. And now we may have a health experience. Why? Because our body is trying to draw our attention inward to connect with how am I feeling? And then we start to sense and become aware of this emotional energy that's out here that previous to us having some kind of symptom or an experience, we might not even have been aware that that was sitting out there. Like who notices all the time if you have some leftover unworthiness in your heart? Do we notice it? No, we try to carry on and do the best we can, but then something happens
Yeah.
and we go, oh, here's another example where here comes the belief things don't work out for me.
Mm.
I'm not as supported as I would like to be. So those are the beliefs that we would have taken on through our earthly experience, through misunderstandings, through the veils being thick, and through us not being as closely connected up with our spirit, with the divine. And so we feel like, oh, I got dumped off on the planet. I'm once again having an experience in a body, and this is not so fun. Not like, oh, I'm a divine being, once again having the blessing of a human experience to keep working through my energy and ultimately alchemizing it, dissolving it all back into love.
Yeah, and purifying. Well, and if we were to bring it back to your finger incident, it's anything that happens to us that causes some kind of discomfort or pain, we instantly go into that victim mode. But what you discovered was, oh, there was a reason for it, and it was enabling you to heal something that you could have then carried for even longer. So I love how you described that even situations that may not seem like the best idea at the time, there's always a higher purpose to that in the long run, and it's all for our higher good and serving us. You're right. Yeah.
Not always fun to go through.
No.
I put things I put that in the unfun category of experiences, but then you go, oh, I've had another one of those unfun experiences. But what was the blessing? What did I get to feel? What did I get to dissolve back in love, release? And ultimately, we develop a great deal of compassion for ourselves as humans here. And as we can hold ourselves in greater compassion, we then are in the energy of compassion. It's much easier to share
Yeah.
compassion with others. And compassion is such a beautiful energy to help us all and our neighbors and our family members get through this, very
Absolutely.
fascinating experience we're having here at this time.
Absolutely. And it also stops us from just stuffing it down again, for however long again before it will show itself again. So let's bring it back around because you mentioned obviously codes or memories being held in the body that may be from other lifetimes or timelines, even galactic experiences. So, if that's the case, how might we then begin to access and even activate them?
So, uh, all energy wants to rise. So everything will arise. More light comes in, it's higher frequency, and it vibrates faster. Anything in our experience coming out of other timelines typically tends to be lower frequency, slower moving energy. Here on the Earth, a lot of the experiences people had were in fear and survival mode. And they if they got enough to eat that day, then they could move on to gratitude and trying to at least feel peaceful, to read a book by candlelight, or write letters to a loved one who's many miles away by candlelight. It's a very, very different experience uh, that people have gone through. So I had a client who had an experience where she had been in a plane crash. So she was in a small plane, she was in her seat, the plane went down, hit the ground, bam, her body hits the wall in front of her because she was sitting in a front seat, and she had many, many injuries. And she had been on the path of supporting herself, releasing the energy, following all kinds of different alternative healing to gradually unpeel all this energy out of her field. And, that was very challenging. So she asked me, could we go look at the energy? So working with her and her body, so our bodies can work with us like a team. So we say, okay, body, 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 help find the energy that's at the first occurrence of the energy that created the experience of the plane crash. And so she got quiet, I got quiet as we both got curious to say, I wonder, what happened. And so she was quiet, I'm quiet, and I see an image of her as a Roman chariot racer and big, brawny, being, muscled, and he's racing on the back of a two-horse chariot, and it's all open. There are no, helmets and protective gear, and he's, going to his horses faster, faster, faster. And then I saw what happened was that there was just one big tumble of horses in him, and a big crash, and many, many bones of his got broken, and he died in that lifetime. So that was the first occurrence. So what had happened to her? She hadn't died, but she was slammed into, a sudden stop, and many parts of her body got broken in the process. So we were clearing and as I was able to see it and then share it with her, that allowed her to connect with it. More light could come in, and it starts the energy rising. So now she's having a release of energy and emotion and so forth. And after we got the energy arising and moving, then I said to her, does that experience, obviously it resonated with her because she experienced a big release, but I said, does that resonate with you? Can you feel into or see yourself feel that you might have been a Roman chariot racer? And she said, absolutely. She said prior to her accident, she said, I was raised in a group of boys, family of boys, rough and tumble and playing football on the field and, running and tackling and so forth. So she had that same soul um, gift, challenge, characteristic of liking to work with her body and stress it. And she gave other examples, which now don't come to me, but
Yeah.
of how this was so similar. She said, oh, that sounds just like me. So then we were able to go back and say, okay, well, it happened, but and then you had an echo in this lifetime that you survived instead of not. And the blessing in it, she said, well, I've learned so much. I've learned about this healing method and this. And, with each step, I feel lighter and something gets a little bit better. She was still working on, continuing to experience the release of all this. But she said, well, you just gave me another piece of the puzzle that was very important, and with a release of energy that came up through it. So that would be an example. Sometimes I've had, well, I did have one person that I spoke to very briefly. And she said, maybe I need to release this unworthiness. And I said, well, the unworthiness is anchored in some shame, like maybe you blew a planet up sometime. And all of a sudden, she wasn't with me in a session. We were having a peer-to-peer quick conversation. And all of a sudden she went, oh, Janet, that's true. Oh my gosh. And so now she's, feeling that. And so I worked with her on just being present to the shame. And when we were in galactic lives, we were creating worlds. We were, flying starships around, doing all different kinds of things, terraforming planets, and learning about how to do that as a powerful creator being. And she had had the experience of doing something and blew a planet up. And so I saw this, and I said, but what was left over from that experience was your shame and guilt that you had created a catastrophic end. And there was more to the story, it wasn't just she decided to experiment and blow a planet up that day. We didn't, I won't go into it now because we did explore it a little bit more. But ultimately, what had she done? She'd registered a belief that that was a horrible thing to have done. And therefore, she was a bad person. And therefore, she had this shame. And therefore, I can't receive. And so now, how is it manifesting in her life that she hadn't been able to create the wealth doing her spiritual work? But prior to her awakening, when she was just in corporate life, she said, I don't understand. When I was in corporate life, I was doing this and this. I was very successful. Wealth and prosperity came to me easily. But now that I've chosen to align with my soul path, now, these things were happening. Well, now that she had chosen to align with her soul path, she was using energy. And so now it was causing her to connect with other lifetimes where she used energy, and the blessing of getting to realize that she had stuffed and stored some shame. And that is the slowest moving energy of all the emotions is shame. It's heavy, it's sticky. And if we've got shame and then up a little bit guilt, and we don't want to think about it, I don't want to remember what I said or did there, or I should have said or done something and I didn't take action, that holds in self-judgment that is just so heavy
Yeah.
and it's not love, right?
No.
If we're judging ourselves and we're not accepting we had an experience, or we said or did what we said or did.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like then how do you discern with a client whether it's something in one of the energy bodies or if it's something from another, galactic, like you mentioned, or ancestral imprinting?
So what we do is we ask the body to show us a body of energy, a chunk of energy that we can explore that will guide us to important revelations. So we have the body help us, and then the client will feel some heavy energy somewhere. And so I'll say, okay, now we're going to talk to the energy. It's your energy. So a series of questions we can ask. Is it mine? Is it not mine? Does it belong to someone else? Oh, it's mine. Is it mine? Is the first occurrence of that energy from this timeline or another? Oh, another. Okay, so then now we both get quiet, and in my presence, because I can see into the Akasha, the other, and I vibrate that way, then the other person also can match the frequency, and I know they can, get glimpses themselves if they just allow themselves. So we go into the energy of curiosity, sit quiet, let a little movie play on the inside of our eyelids, and the client will get an image. I said, you may just get an image, a snippet. You might have a sense of what era it is, what clothing you see people wearing, something, anything. So you just allow yourself to be curious and see what comes in. And then I get something, and then after we share, and now we're piecing together, she'll get an experience, and then I can see more of it and share. So then we're able to illuminate it. So we track it by starting with the where's the energy in the body, talking to the energy, inquiring of the energy, and then following a path. So then if it's not mine, is this energy mine? Does it belong to someone else? Or is it both? So it's not mine. A person might say, okay, then we'll do, well, who does the energy belong to? And they get quiet, I get quiet. And I said, don't think about it, just allow whatever the first thing that comes to you. And a person will go, I just saw my mother. Could it be my mother? And I said, you just saw her face. So that's, just trust that. You didn't have time to think it through. You just instantly had a sense it might be my mother's. So then we track and where the energy is in the body, then we're able to say, well, did you experience your mother? Did you ever see her, feel her having an experience of this kind of energy? If it's anger, if it's grief, is it whatever. And then we're able to track back, oh, yes. And sometimes it's, oh, it was my mother's, but I was in utero.
Wow.
And so we're able to go, when 9 months we spend in our mother's uterus, we are literally marinating in her energy. So I've had clients who had a mother who, recent one, the mother moved alone from Europe and had to get a place to live by herself. She's pregnant, 6, 7, 8 months pregnant, all alone, has left her extended family at home. Her husband comes and sees her now and then, but she's mostly alone. So what does the baby feel? A sense of anxiety, not safe. How is this going to work out? Am I going to be able to support oneself? So that's what a child is marinating in, that anxious energy, rather than the energy of a mother where I'm feeling wonderfully supported. It's going to be my first birth, but I've got my mother, my aunts are all going to be around me. No, I'm going to be alone. I've never had a baby before. How's this going to go?
Yeah. Well,
So,
there's fear or excitement, really, isn't there? That
yes, yes. And actually, fear and excitement are the same energy, literally. It's the same vibration. It's
yeah.
just how do we respond to it?
Yeah.
Same vibration.
Mm. Wow. Well, so fascinating. Janet, in a moment, is going to guide us through an energy healing process. But I think this is a really good time for people that may be interested in going deeper with you in this amazing work, that you might want to share your amazing offer that you've brought to share with the community. Would you like to do that, Janet?
And fantastic. Let me just do a screen share so
And maybe share
people,
like who it would be suitable for as well.
yes, exactly. So,
Yeah, I got that.
okay, that'll pop up and out of the way. So can you see that now?
Yep, got it.
All right. So what I've done is put together for you what's this suitable for first. If you found yourself here listening to this today or listening to the recording, then trust you've been guided here for a reason. And if you're going, gee, yes, I'm aware that I've had some trauma experiences, but gee, Janet's talking about, simply bashing her finger is a trauma experience, allowing her to release deeper energies of trauma from another timeline. Isn't this fascinating? I'd like to learn how to better work with the energy. So I've put this together to help people heal from trauma, whether you're aware of and remember clearly traumas from this lifetime, or you just have a deep sense inside that there must be something going on. So traumas can be traumatic injury, car accident, being attacked, persecuted, an abusive relationship, a shocking abandonment from other timelines, or this one, wartime experiences, the loss of a family from suicide or tragedy, one or more major surgeries, as I gave you the example of 2 C-sections and a miscarriage, catastrophic loss in fire, flood, tornado, hurricane, suddenly becoming homeless, witnessing something horrific, even if it didn't happen to you. These are all examples of traumas that we might have experienced. So if you know or sense, and often it's a sense, I wonder what happened to me in other timelines that I feel as I do. If you've experienced anxiety or shaking or moments of terror or fearful states, despite there being no threats in your present moment reality, then that's a clue that you're already starting to release trauma energies from another moment of now. And it might be nice to get in there and learn how to work with it rather than just feel uncomfortable as the energies arise. You can have unexplained or phantom pain in joints or bones. A woman I worked with some years ago, 10 years ago, she said, Janet, it feels like somebody's stabbing the top of my foot with a knife. I've been into emergency. They've looked at it. They've done scans. They see nothing. So what I would call a phantom pain, what's going on? And I said, well, let's take the knife out of your foot, shall we? And we pull the knife out and do healing on the foot and allow her to realize that what she was sensing was exactly what was going on. And her body was wanting to get her attention to that other timeline. You may also find yourself procrastinating or avoiding taking action on what you know is a soul calling. So lots of you who would be here listening have come onto the awakening path. Maybe you're a healer, maybe you're healing yourself. And this brings us into a resonance that's similar to all the other lifetimes when we worked with energy. Maybe we were a healer. And it wasn't so popular in the last 3,000 years to be doing anything with energy. The church was, would shut it down. The lords of the land didn't want anybody working with energy and using their powers. So often there was a lot of persecution of people who could talk to people that have passed over, or work with plants and make teas, or work with energy and do healing. So we may have all of this sort of baggage that's in our energy field. So you can receive a trauma healing breakthrough when you're able to trace some energy to the point of creation and the energy holding it in place is transmuted. We get to root cause. We purify our etheric records. We have an aha moment of awareness, which results in a spontaneous collapse of an energy matrix, which was holding in place those trauma energies. And we get to the point where we can hold divine neutrality about our experience. It happened. It was happening for me. I put it in the unfun category. It was painful. It wasn't easy to go through, but afterwards I felt better. I felt lighter. So to shift from this unexplained anxiety, fear, terror to feeling safe, supported, and peaceful. And therefore you can step up onto a higher timeline and anchor peace and joy. So that's what's going on. What I'm offering you is a way to get there. I've put together 2 live group trauma healing sessions with me that will be held, one of which we're going to focus on the etheric records. So getting into those other timelines, finding those other experiences in other timelines, and clearing out energies of persecution, or clearing out energies of bodily harm, or clearing out energies from wartime experience. And the second session will be focusing on releasing the emotional energies that get stuffed. Whether it's like that big sob out of sadness, yes, it was painful, but the energy that was coming up through me was a deep, deep, deep ache of sadness that was held in from that wide things like this keep happening to me belief. Old energies of sadness, of separation from source. So each of these 2 sessions will be 2 hours. They'll be live with me, and I will guide you through masterclass, through teaching, individual reflection times, and group healing energy processes that we'll do. So you'll be able to lift up some of all this heavy energy up and out of your energy field. And when you are able to click on and see the special offer and read through it more, which I anticipate will be available to you when you can look at the replay so you can read more. Then there will also be, so you can look at some of the how people have experienced working with me. I also have 3 healing MP3s for your repeated use. One is an angelic emerald healing elixir. We'll be working with Archangel Raphael. You'll sit and receive, and the emerald green energy is healing. It also brings in illumined truth. So it helps you to get back to more of a divine perspective about the truth of what you've experienced. And that one is one you can use over and over again. It's 5 minutes, a little more than 5 minutes in length. And you can just pop it on, listen, and you'll get an emerald green healing light bath. And the quality of emerald invites every particle and wave of energy in your body, your energy field, to return to divine perfection. It creates an invitation to move into a perfected state, a completely healed state. We'll also have a journey to the healing temples of Telos, and that is a 10-minute guided meditation journey. You'll travel with me and Archangel Michael and go below Mount Shasta to Telos, where you'll meet the High Priest of Telos Adama. You'll be guided to one of the healing temples, and you'll go, and the first healing offered will be with the energy of gold. Very, very beautiful high frequencies. So you just sit and luxuriate and receive in a temple in Telos. And you can use that one again and again and again. And you may, on a subsequent journey, you may find, oh, now this time I'm receiving violet energy. You can watch for the color. Maybe I'm going to receive opalescent energy or some different quality of energy. And then the third is a journey to the healing chambers on a galactic ship. I have another parallel timeline where I am a lieutenant commander on a galactic ship, and I am responsible for the healing chambers, among other duties as lieutenant commander. So in my own mind's eye, the first time I went to a galactic ship and said, okay, I'd like to go up to the healing chambers. And so in meditation, and what I saw was, I'll be able to explain to you what it looks like because I've been there. And then when I saw the diagrams of the med beds are coming, I went, that is very close to what they look like, from personal experience, having traveled multidimensionally. So you'll have 3 healing MP3s to work with. And also for anyone who might like more time with me, to go in deeper, to track something that they're through the program and the skills that they'll be learning, maybe just missing, not able to follow the thread and find the root cause energy. I'm offering a $100 off discount coupon for completely optional 1-hour private healing session that you can book directly with me and get a deep discount there. So the whole program, the three classes, and the 3 MP3s is just $137. You're getting in excess of 4 hours of group trauma healing work with me. And the more details about what all is included in the etheric body section and the emotional energy session are present. I'll just highlight a couple things. In the emotional body, we're going to talk about how to release an emotional energy that's not yours, such as I described, where you may have taken something in from mother or father growing up or a spouse. And we will do a soul retrieval process where if we've had a traumatic experience, we may have said, this is so frightening, I cannot be with it. I do not want to remember this ever again. You can literally take a portion of your soul that experienced a very traumatic thing and push it away. And yet it's still sitting there, vibrating. And you have a sense of, I don't feel whole, I don't feel connected, I don't feel at peace. So we'll be doing a process to go gather up portions of ourselves, bits, aspects of our soul that we might have pushed away because it was too much for us to integrate at the time, or we've had an experience that we are so ashamed of that we've said, I cannot abide this part of me. And we need to bring all of us back together into our hearts to love it into completion. You will get tools. Each time, both sessions will take you to the Arcturian healing chambers for an experience. And in both sessions, we will be giving you some new light tools, some healing tools to work with, crystal and light ones, two of them, in fact. And in the first session, if we've had trauma, let's say our body has been pierced with an arrow, well, now we have a rip, a tear, or a hole in our etheric body. It's come in through all the layers of our energy field. So we'll do work to heal up, notice, spot any rips, tears, holes, and fill all of that energy in our field to saturate ourselves again with light so that we're not leaking energy out or inviting in energy that we wouldn't want. The having a solid and saturated light body is a cocoon that we are in. It protects us and keeps us feeling whole. So this is a lot of what you're getting. The price, $137, two healing sessions, and I'll just scan up to the dates. There'll be a little time here for those who are hearing the replay to have a chance to jump in. And the first session will be on Thursday, May 29th, at the same time as the live session. And the second one will be Thursday, June 5th. 2 hours in each of these. Very, very powerful healing work we'll do. So I'll stop sharing.
Thank you, Janet. And yeah, what great value for all of that. And I think, some people or some of us, we've all experienced our versions of trauma and working through that. And I feel that sometimes we have been so heavy in that trauma, we don't even know if it's possible to experience peace and joy. And so it sounds like once we clear that energy so we're not holding them anymore, that's our key to really experiencing that peace and joy that we all yearn to experience, and that is our divine birthright.
Yeah, what we're feeling, we're healing.
Yeah.
And with the tools, the energy tools I'll be teaching, it's one thing to experience grief and process it by crying and crying and crying and crying until we feel like we can't cry anymore to get the energy out. But with the tools I'll be teaching you, oh, grief is arising. Yes, I feel it. Yes, it's intense, but we can work with different rays of light and call upon different members of the ascended host to work with us. And now we can complete release and transmutation of that energy, the alchemizing it back into love much more rapidly. So it does not have to be something that just takes us out for hours. It can be something that we can process more quickly when we have tools and we're empowered.
Mm, mm. Well, I dropped the link in the chat so you can check it out, and I do encourage you to take a look and consider this amazing opportunity. So let's maybe you'd like to give people an experience. Let's guide people through this energy healing that you have said you would share. And I think you said it was going to be about activating our holy Christ self.
Yes, thank you. Whenever I get called to have the opportunity to address a group like this, I always ask, what am I meant to bring forward? How am I to serve? What would be in the highest and best good? How can I support people attending now or listening to the replay? And the spirit team working with me, overlighting me, said to bring in a Holy Christ self-activation. So I talked about the 4 layers of our energy body: physical, etheric, emotional, and mental. And I said that energy presses in, radiates into our energy field and has an effect on us. The fifth layer of our body is what's called our Holy Christ self. And so now we're getting into the subtle layers of our body, not so much these denser layers of the body from our human experience. So I will now be guiding you with 6 members from the Ascended Host who are going to work with us to add more energy to illuminate this fifth layer of our energy field, our Holy Christ self, which is part of our natural energy field. And as this part of our body has a greater saturation of the light and the codes, then we're basically going to be in more of a cocoon of beautiful energies of love and wisdom and awareness so that we can look at our experiences as if we are already feeling our Christ consciousness and our Christ itself. So that's the process. It will be relatively short but powerful. And it is one that you'll be able to re-listen to if you'd like to come back to the replay. So I invite everyone to get quiet, come into your heart, close your eyes to receive. And let me introduce the beings that will work with us. The first being Lord Sananda, who is the cosmic Christ, and the overlighting presence of Jesus, who walked the earth. Lord Melchizedek will be working with us. Master Katumi, Archangel Metatron, Archangel Michael, and Archangel Raphael. 6 beings, and you'll notice the Star of David being a 6-pointed star is a shape that's within Metatron's cube sacred geometry and is also the shape of our Merkaba. So you might imagine now these 6 amazing, powerful, loving beings that have come forward to support us, surrounding you on the 6 points of the 6-pointed star. And now just allow yourself with your eyes closed to receive. They are going to add more of the emanation to build up your 5th layer of your energy field, your Christ self, your Holy Christ self, with more of the love that you already are, more of the love they have for you, have for us. And so if you're able to see a bit, you may sense a great infusion of white light, just dazzling white light. But it also has a very loving, deeply loving quality to it. So let yourself breathe slowly and open to receive the love that they're projecting to you. It's there for you to receive and absorb. Notice that you're feeling a little more relaxed. So take a nice deep breath in. And on the out breath, sigh out. Any tension, any tightness, anything you're ready to let go right now, set it down. To feel what it feels like to be in the presence of these magnificent beings of light who also know and recognize the magnificence of you as a divine being. Just having a human experience. We're not a smaller being than all these beautiful beings. We're just see ourselves sometimes as smaller because of the experiences we've had in this denser energies of the earth. Letting yourself receive. There's some light codes. You may notice some shapes, light language, light codes that are being emanated, that you're receiving. This is a reminder of the truth of you as a divine being. Feeling into this cocoon of Christed light, your holy Christ self surrounding you in perfection, in a deeply loving awareness of who you are and your connection to the divine that you are. So allow yourself to feel this cocoon of light strengthening all the way around you, above you, below you, out to the right side. And I notice for the group here that the left side is a little weaker, and that's the divine feminine. So allow yourself to receive. Allow yourself to strengthen the energy on your left side at the level of your holy Christ self. And that additional light and love and radiation will then be able to radiate into all your lower bodies on the left side, better supporting you as either in a female body at this time or the you that might have been in a female body in another lifetime, and the you that gets to practice receiving help and asking for help versus the stronger right side of your body. Give help, help support others, make decisions. Most of you have a stronger right side of your body, and we're working on strengthening our left side of the body, which can be just as strong and powerful, but it's expressed in a different way. Good. You're allowing yourself to strengthen the energies on the left side of your body. So let this Holy Christ light being emanated, really receive it, draw it into your feminine nature, draw it in so you have the courage to ask for help and know you're worthy of being supported and being helped. Good. And with that, when you're ready, you can bring yourself fully present. Open your eyes. And if you loved receiving that energy, come back and listen to the replay and receive again, receive some more. And I'd love to see if anybody would like to share anything in chat. What did you experience? How did that feel? How did that energy feel? And being in the presence of the beautiful members of the Ascended Host who supported us.
Well, for me, I actually had a green energy around me to begin with, and then as you guided us, and the beings were kind of around me, I was in the center, and then as you guided us through more, I just felt this warming energy like all through my upper body, and that cocooning effect, a feeling. So thank you. It's really beautiful.
Well, so that was Archangel Raphael who first brought in the healing ray because your energy field needed more of that emerald green healing ray in order to then better be able to receive
Ah,
the Christ light that followed.
thank you.
Anybody else would
It's
like to
it's
share?
very calming, but let's open the floor. It's a good time maybe to share with Janet what you experienced, or maybe you've got some questions either about her program or just about her work in general. So you're welcome to unmute yourself, and if you feel brave, you can come on camera. Or you can also drop in the chat. I'll keep an eye on the chat. So the floor is yours. Pop your Yes, I think actually at the bottom, if you click on, there's a button called React, and it allows you to raise your hand. Um, or equally, you can unmute yourself and come on. So who've we
And I
got?
would like to say the programs, the sessions I offer are audio visual. You won't see me, but you'll see slides. You'll hear my voice. At no time will you be on camera ever. And so you have complete privacy. And sometimes when people have had trauma experiences, they don't feel that safe necessarily to, share what's going on with them. So you'll be able to, there is a chat function, but you can use just your first name or a pseudonym, even if you prefer. So know that in working with me, you'll have complete privacy.
Safe space. Yeah, beautiful. So no one's feeling brave at the moment, but Chris has dropped in that it felt really comforting and supportive, really beautiful. Emma says, delicious. I love that word. Delicious, Janet. Thank you. It's been a very rigorous few days, and this energy is bringing me back into a more fortified and yet flowing state. Lovely. Candice says, will the email with the recording? Yes, we'll provide all the information about how to join, take the private session, as well as all the other gifts that Janet's offering in this special offer. Katie's asking, are there any strategies for someone to untangle trauma energies themselves?
Yes, and really that's what the program is for, to teach you the tools, to teach you the questions to ask yourself, to let you practice being present. But if we're just going to say, yes, but can you help me right now? What would you say? The one thing I would say is for anytime we sense there's trauma or any energy that causes us to feel unsafe, insecure, to come within, drop into your heart, and place a hand over your heart and say, all is well. Breathe slowly. Ask your guides and angels to come forward and surround you. You can call upon any of the beautiful beings whose names I mentioned who just worked with us. Re-listen to this call and you'll receive more awareness. But the key is, a lot of times it's the emotional energy that frightens us, that we don't feel comfortable to feel it. So you can say to your higher self, okay, I'm willing, I'm courageous enough to feel some of this energy. Could you just give me a little bit of it, please, so that I can just have just what I can handle today? And then drop inside, connect with your inner child, the smaller part of you. Hold her in compassion as you say, what are you feeling today, right now? What are you feeling that we could feel together, be present with, and therefore in your compassion, you're holding space for your little one to show you, I'm hurting, I'm sad, whatever, I feel this, I feel that, I'm not feeling safe. Then give her your compassion, your love, and give your little inner one whatever it is that you would do if it was another child that you were sitting next to, someone you know or don't know. If you treat your inner child in the same way that how you would treat someone else's child, you'll be giving yourself exactly what would be perfect to receive.
Mm.
So I hope that's helpful for
Yeah,
Katie, who asked, how can we support ourselves?
lovely. Thank you, Janet. So, as we draw our conversation to a close, I would love to know, what changes do you foresee in how we approach healing and medicine as we evolve into multi-dimensional beings?
Well, number one, we're awakening to the truth, the realization that everything is energy. Nikola Tesla said, if we would look at, the world as energy, everything that we might wish to know about the universe is present in that. So if we go, oh, well, if I'm having an experience, I don't feel great, my health is less than the perfection I would desire, then to say, the answer is it's something in my energy that is not allowing divine perfection to come in. So then if we then adopt, so we're now in a lighter, more playful way of considering, dialoguing with ourselves. And when we move into the energy of the child, well, get curious. I wonder, and this is what I did when this finger got smashed. I'll sit and be quiet and be curious. I wonder what happened some other time to this finger. And then the information comes in. So the more that you're curious, the more you ask questions, the more you will receive information coming in, or you will attract to you earth angels, people in bodies who will make a comment or say something, or you'll see an opportunity to listen to a talk. And when you listen to the talk, there'll be answers to some of the things you were wondering about. So we'll move into this state of deeper connection, deeper understanding that we're divine energy beings, beings of light and love, having a human experience. And everything is just energy, and everything is therefore um, dissolvable back into love if we would give it our loving attention instead of having the sense that I don't know what to do with this. I'll go to a doctor. The doctor will give me a label, prescribe me a chemical, and now I've got side effects. And I've taken my own responsibility for myself and my energy and pushed it out, given it to someone else rather than, so we'll be far more empowered, feeling more powerful as we practice going through our energy and having success and crying out tears and going, whoa, I didn't know all that energy was in there. Gosh, and maybe not immediately, but hours later you go, I'm feeling a bit lighter. And the next day, wow, I feel so much better because I've let this energy release. So everything is energy. That's my sense of the future. And we'll just all come to know ourselves as the divine Christed beings we truly are.
Mm. And as you shared again, allowing us to really sit and feel that rather than trying to push it away and distract ourselves from actually processing that experience.
Absolutely.
Obviously, so it gets us through it a lot quicker in the long term. Beautiful. So finally, for those in our community who may be starting to awaken to these higher frequencies, what one piece of wisdom from your heart, Janet, would you like to offer them that can help them trust in the intuitive signs that maybe their body is offering them? What would you share?
Well, when we move, we talked about awakening the divine feminine, and that means receiving. So if we would like to receive, then the first thing to do is to be open to receiving and ask a lot of questions and ask questions from the point of curiosity. I wonder, this health symptom I've got, it's uncomfortable. I'd like it to shift. I wonder what it is that's going on there. And when we move into that asking, being curious energy, we're opening our energy field. Now we can receive. And also, when you ask a question, you have now signaled to the higher realms that you are asking for help. And then they can now, according to universal law, support you. If you don't ask, they have to leave you alone.
Mm.
So, best to ask lots of questions. I wonder what's going on here. How could I experience this? What would it take for my vision to be perfect once again, etc. And the more that you put out there what you would like to receive and ask questions, show me, guide me. Body, body, body. I go into the kitchen. Body, body, body. What would you like me to eat today? And then I just notice a cupboard door. I'm drawn to a cupboard door and I pick up a bottle that I haven't picked up and I look at it and I go, oh, body, are you telling me this is one yes, take some copper today, And,
Fascinating,
oh,
isn't it? The signs that we
so,
get. Yeah.
yeah, so we get into this wonderful flow of just asking questions, following the energy, making a choice, imagining what we would like to receive already so, and then asking questions to be guided, and then following the breadcrumbs. And
Mm.
it gets to be a very playful process with some unfun moments when we're in the middle of a big release of energy that can be, a powerful release of energy.
Yeah, yeah. But no, it will pass. Oh, beautiful. And I'm reminded, ask and you shall receive.
Absolutely.
And the key is listen and whatever guidance you get, as you shared earlier, don't dismiss, what's coming through because to our logical mind, it may not immediately make logical sense, but we're being guided somewhere, and that's where we start to really trust where the signals that we're getting. I love
And
that.
I hear some of the audience saying, but what do you do if you can't hear? What if you don't get a sense?
Mhm.
Then you just say, okay, guides and angels, because I've asked a question, I just don't feel like I'm getting a clear answer. Please guide me more obviously in some other way. Bring somebody to me, send an email to me that helps answer. One time I'd ask a question and a bus drove by and there were words on the side of the bus. That was the answer to a question I'd ask. So sometimes it can come in really fun ways.
Yeah, I love that. And just yeah, and be open to how you might receive it on the back of a bus or elsewhere. Lovely. Janet, thank you so much. And again, if anyone feels called to join Janet in this amazing breakthrough program, then do check it out. And the link will be sent also in the replay. So thank you, Janet, for being here, sharing your wisdom and this really deep healing knowledge, as well as your intuitive gifts. I'm really, really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very grateful for the invitation and the opportunity. And I send waves of love to everyone listening now or who will listen to the replay. Know that you are love, you are loved, and I send you waves of my love.
Oh, well, back at you. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who joined us live today, and catching the replay, and anyone that catches it at any point. Thank you for being with us and journeying on this healing, growth, and multidimensional understanding of ourselves and what's possible for us. And so, as we continue this series, I really hope that you feel more empowered to release what no longer serves you, embrace your true essence, and really start to tap into living this life of peace and joy, which is the topic of our conversation today. So, as always, from my heart to yours, thank you all for being here and for choosing this higher timeline that really is now available for us to step onto. So, until next time, thank you, everyone, and bye for now. Thank you for joining this heart-to-heart conversation. As we awaken to freedom and remember our true nature, we restore harmony between humanity and Mother Earth. This is a space for conscious creators, for those here to reclaim their power, presence, and divine potential. I'm Victoria Hart, and from my heart to yours, I honour your light and your unfolding path. To explore more, visit theconsciouscreationcoach.com